All right, gang, this is Alex Avian coming at you, and I'm going to teach you a little bit on how a universal life policy works. Okay, so I'm going to throw up all kinds of charts and graphs, and hopefully it'll make some sense to you. I'll try to break it down in a very simple way. All right, so universal life is a great product to give someone not only a lifetime plan of insurance, because it's a permanent product, but it also has the flexibility of varying the premiums, varying the death benefit as far as bringing it down. Okay, you can't really raise it without having to go through a blood and urine test. Typically people don't do that on the universal life programs unless they have a specific rider called a guaranteed insurability rider that allow them to move it up. But typically most of our ULs may not have that. So this is just a basic universal life. The other feature about universal life, not only is it permanent, but you can also put a lot of cash in it. So you could pull that cash out for tax-free retirement purposes. And we have F&G Life has a good one. I think Monumental Life has a good universal life. The one I'm going to be talking about today is Smart UL with Foresters, only because the illustration on the software is really easy. And you can kind of understand the concepts just playing around with that Forrester Smart UL product. Plus, it doesn't require blood and urine test, and it's a real decent product in terms of the guarantees in it, 3% minimum guaranteed interest rate, and then you could illustrate it. I think the software right now is illustrating at a 5.75%. Okay, so let's talk about what a universal life policy is basically, so you can really understand it. Okay, so down here I'm going to draw out, when you buy a universal life policy, basically with universal life policy you're buying a cost of insurance from your age today to age 100 really and beyond. It goes to age 120, I believe, but you're buying a series of annual renewable term insurance. So you just think about that every year you pay a cost of insurance every year per $1,000 for each age that you're at. So let's say we're starting with a 30-year-old, and we're going to take this 30-year-old all the way out to age 100. Okay, so at age 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, so this is a span of his life. So at each age range, he has a cost of insurance. So let's say, for example, this is not the exact numbers, okay? So I'm just giving you, for sake of example, just ballpark numbers for cost of insurance. And this would be like a rate per thousand. So for example, at age 30, his rate per thousand is $4.03, okay? At age 40, let's say it's like $4.80 per $1,000 of life insurance. Age 50, let's say it's $6.72, or 50. Age 60, $8.64. Age 70, $20.78. Age 80, 53, 88. You can see they're jumping up quite a bit per thousand. Age 90, 141.70, and age 100, 270.18. Okay, so that's the rate per thousand, going from $4.03 at age 30 to $270.18 per thousand. So that's quite a high, but that's because you're age 100. So if you wanted to graph it out, this top being $300 and this one being 0, kind of does this. Okay, kind of just goes straight up, basically. So that's really the cost of per insurance. So when you're buying a universal life policy, you're buying this cost of insurance line for paying for your permanent insurance through the rest of the period of time. Okay, so let's draw a graph of really your policy age 100. Okay, this is your death benefit of 100,000. Okay. Now typically what a universal life policy, how it works is that you are paying a premium rate, and out of your premium, let's say an annual premium, in this case, for a 30-year-old for $100,000 on SmartUL, the basic premium rate to keep the policy going all the way to age 100 is $729 per year. Okay. Now every year that client pays that premium, part of that premium goes into two buckets. Okay. One bucket is it pays for the cost of insurance, and then the other bucket is the cash value. Okay, so you've got to cover the cost of insurance first, and then whatever's left gets moved into cash value. And if the cost of insurance goes up higher than what the premium payment is, then it actually will take some money out of the cash value to pay for the cost of insurance. So let me show you how that works. Remember, every premium payment first goes to the cost of insurance, and then whatever's left over goes into cash value. If the cost of insurance out in these years, as the client gets out to this older ages where the cost of insurance is really high, if this premium doesn't cover the cost of insurance right here, then they deduct that money from the cash value. So basically what universal life is the client is allowed to put money away in savings, basically a savings account that earns a 5.75% rate of interest based on an indexed estimate, average of 5.75%. So they're allowed to put some money into like a savings account per se that allows them to grow the cash in this bucket. So when the cost of insurance gets to be higher than what they're putting in, then they can deduct that premiums out of the cash value, and hopefully by the end it'll be enough to take them to age 100. And in this case, for a 30-year-old for $100,000 on SmartUL non-med, $729 a year is just enough to keep the policy going out through age 100. All right. So let me show you what that line looks like as far as cash value. Okay. So again, age 30 to age 100. The cash value kind of goes up. Peaks out about age 90 at about $68,000, and then it drops dramatically to basically zero, or about $138 is what they have left in that account. So that's how the cash value just kind of grows and then dies. All right. So here's really what's happening. This is the $100,000 insurance line, and this is based on option A. So let's put option A, which is level death benefit. In other words, the death benefit is going to remain at $100,000 through the whole time. Okay, so here's what's going on. The cash value and the insurance goes to pay the death benefit. Okay, so in this case, where at age 31, basically the cash value amount is $327. Okay, if the person dies at age 31, the insurance company is going to pay out the cash value of $327 and then the rest to make up the $100,000. All right. So you can see that as cash value grows in this bucket here, and the cost of insurance line goes up, they're paying more per thousand for insurance, and then when it gets to be a certain point, this being at $68,000, the cash value then gets drawn down from age 90 to 100, because that's where the premium is $141.70 per $1,000 of insurance, and then age 100 is $270.80. So it sucks out all the cash value, but the client has their policy that goes out to age 100. So really the cash value does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's designed to put all this money into this bucket so that when it peaks and then the cost of insurance is so high that it starts pulling out a chunk of money here, then the policy ends at age 100, which is where we figured that the client wants it to end, because chances are he's not going to make it to 100. But that's a good That's the age that we want it to go out to, okay? So that's what's going on. Universal Life allows you to put cash away so that you can pay your future premiums when the amount you're putting in is not enough to cover this cost of insurance line out here, okay? Now, here's the other moving part that goes on with this policy, so you can see how all the moving parts work, is that, let's take age, okay, so let's take it at age 40. At age 40, the cash value is $3,933, and so the remaining insurance amount that the company's on the hook for, in other words, what the company will pay out, the part they pay out will be $96,067. So again, the death benefit, if the client dies at age 40, the death benefit will be made up of the cash value that they earned and the remainder in life insurance that the insurance company will pay out, okay? So let's take it to age 50. So this is 40, age 50. At age 50, the cash value is $12,116, okay? Then the amount of insurance that the company's on the hook for is $87,884. Okay? As I mentioned, at age, it really kind of peaks out like at age 90, where there's actually there's 69,000. So it's basically 69,084. $69,000. That's the cash. And then this amount of insurance right here that the insurance is at risk, insurance company is at risk for, is $30,916. Okay, so here's how the total cost of insurance works. Based on age 40, this client's paying $4.80 per thousand for only the $96,000 that they're on the hook for. At age 50, he's paying $6.72 per thousand for only the $87,000. Okay, 60 and so on. So you can see this line shrinks. It shrinks all the way to age 90. It might be $141.70 per thousand, but they're only on the hook for $30,000, almost $31,000 of life insurance. So all you're paying for is the insurance that the company's at risk for. Okay, then you can see here the cost of insurance. See, since the cash value is going down, the cost of insurance gets to be extremely high. Okay, and it's really high here. So that's why it crashes really fast. Is that because it costs so much to insure you at age 90 to 100 per thousand? You start sucking out cash value in this bucket, and then you're on the hook for more insurance. The insurance company's on the hook for more insurance at a higher rate. So that's why you see this line crashing really fast. But remember, the policy is designed to take it all the way to age 100. It's a life insurance product. Okay, so they calculated $729 a year for a 30-year-old will be enough to keep this policy going for $100,000 till age 100. Okay. So that's how universal life policy works. You got components working like moving parts here. One moving part is the cost of insurance per $1,000 of insurance keeps going up, and this is set in stone when you first purchase the policy. Okay. And then the other moving part is the decreasing amount of insurance. As the cash value grows, the amount of insurance that the insurance company's on the hook to pay out decreases over time here, and then it goes up over here as the cash value is drawn down. Okay, so that's the moving parts of a universal life insurance policy. And remember, this is option A, level death benefit. Okay, so let's see what happens when you do option B. This is called increasing. So to do an increasing, what the increasing means is that every time the cash value grows, the company's still going to be on the hook for $100,000, okay, of insurance. So let's say the cash value line, so it starts off at 100,000. So the amount of insurance will continue to increase. Okay. So this difference here is always going to be 100,000. Okay, this difference is 100,000. You know, this difference here is 100,000. Okay, that's the death benefit. So the client, the insurance company's always going to be on the hook for 100,000. The issue then is the cost of this is going to be higher, because as the cost of insurance increases, you're still covering the full 100,000, so you're going to need more cash. So instead of $729 a year, I haven't run the numbers, but it might be $1,000 a year in order to keep an increasing policy going. Typically, if you have an increasing policy, you can put more cash in, and a lot of times the cash value will be way more than it would take to cover it, and it'll cover it in a very good way. But it's going to be more than $729 a year, because you're going to have to put more money saved in the cash value bucket, earning a 5.75% rate of interest, so that you can still pay at this cost of insurance for 100,000. That's quite a bit of money. So you got to put more money in to keep it going. Okay, but that's for keeping the company on the hook for 100,000. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, but there are reasons to do that. Okay, now let's talk about the tax-free retirement approach, okay, and what happens when you bump it up. So what I did was I ran the same illustration on a 30-year-old 100,000, but instead of $729 a year, I'm putting in, and this is again, this is at the level, I put 1,063 in. And so what happens to the cash value gets pretty crazy. Okay, so this is like the maximum that the IRS will allow you to put in every year throughout age 100. So let's show you what the cash does. So age 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So here's what happens to the cash. So age 40, the cash value is 82. It's like 82. Age 50, it shoots up to about 50,000. So that's 24. So 24,251. This is 82. At age 60, it jumps up to 51,390. 51,390. Age 70 goes to 98,326. 98,326. At age 80, goes to like 180. I can't even reach that high. This is not to scale. 180,701. Age 90, it's 315,650. Then at age 100, it's 509,431. Okay, so you can see the cash value just keeps going up almost asymptotically at age one. By the time you get to age 100, it's 509,431. Okay, so this is where the tax-free retirement works. You overwhelm the cash value with so much money going into cash value that the interest rate of 5.75% overwhelms it. So there's so much money that even the cost of insurance being, by the way, this is 100,000. And what happens at 100,000 is the amount of insurance will parallel this line here. Okay, there's always going to be a minimum amount of insurance because this policy is not designed to be an investment. It's designed to be life insurance. So the insurance company always has to pay out a life insurance benefit. And what we call that is called the corridor of insurance. If you dust off your memory back to your life insurance class, they have this thing called the corridor of insurance. So when it gets up to 98,000, actually it starts going up earlier. So the first time it jumps up is when the cash value is at age 38. Whoops, age 68, I'm sorry. At age 68, it's actually what happens here is that it starts going up earlier at about age 60, whoops, about 68, so it's almost 70, so it kind of does this. And at age 68, the cash value amount at age 68 is 86,622, and then the total amount of insurance at age 68 is 102,214. Okay, so if you subtract 102,214 minus the cash value of 86,622, this is what we call the corridor. So it's 9, 5, 1. So they're basically on the hook for about $16,000 of life insurance all the way up. Okay, and that's the minimum amount they got to pay because this can't be an investment. It's designed to be a life insurance policy. Okay, so that's what happens with the corridor. So you have always have more life insurance than your cash value to keep it legal under the IRS guidelines. So this is a tax-free retirement approach. So when you start getting out to retirement, you have all this cash value. You can start taking that cash value and drawing it down yourself all the way to age 100. You just take cash value out as tax-free retirement every year, drawing it down yourself. So you do basically what you did if you didn't put enough money in. You can use that money tax-free through policy loans. Okay, and then when you die, all those loans, the company's going to pay out the amount of insurance, and then they take the rest of it and they pay those loans off that you took out. So that's how that works. Okay. Now, what happens if you don't fund it enough? Well, then your life insurance policy will end sooner. So let's take a minimum, and the minimum premium that you put in is $557 a year, $557 per year. Again, part of it goes into cash value. Well, what happens with this cash value line is so age 40, there's $16.95. Age 50, it's $58.71. Age 60, it's $10.484. Then age 70, it's $10.195. So you can see it goes down, $10.195. It goes down, and then by the time age 76, it's down to 0. Okay, so here's what the cash value does. It goes up, and then it crashes. at age 78 or 76. So age 76 is when the policy dies, and you can see that there's 100,000 all the way through age 76. The company's going to pay out the difference here in life insurance. Okay, so this is the amount they're on the hook for life insurance. So really paying $557 a year gives this person basically a 46-year coverage. You can call it a glorified term policy. It goes for 46 years, so it's better than a 30-year term. Okay, so this is what's really cool is you can put someone into a policy like this that goes beyond 30 years. You know, if they think that their life expectancy is going to be 76.6 years, this might be a good policy. Okay, but it shows you what happens if you don't put enough cash in the policy. Then when it starts pulling out cash, when this thing starts going down is when it's starting pulling cash out of the bucket to pay for the cost of insurance here for this amount of insurance, and then it crashes and at age 76. So what's fun exercise to do is, put in, go from 557, go to 600, 625, okay, and start incrementally moving it up. And here's what you're going to see all the way up to the 729, I believe. Let's go 650, then 729. And if you just start putting these in and just playing with the software, what you're going to see is you're going to see this line kind of doing this. Okay, it'll start doing this. It'll start doing this. Okay, until you get to, boom, that line that we set at 729, and then it just extends the 100,000 year by year, and then boom, it goes all the way to age 100 when you're at 729. So it's a fun thing to play with to see how far you can get going. Now another cool thing is that you can play with the numbers where if the person wanted a return of premium, you can do like a return of premium scenario with them. Like this works good for someone who wants to return a premium, but they're too old for Term Life Express. Let's say they're like 71, they want to get a return of premium. Well, you can kind of play with the numbers, okay, so that you can find where the amount of cash value, let's say, I don't know what that is, but let's just say it is 76. You can make it so the amount of cash value right here, I don't know, let's just say it's 35,000 equals the amount of accumulative premium paid of 35,000. Well, I don't know what the number is. It's going to be some kind of number. If you keep moving up here, you're going to see that the policy is going to go out for a while. It might even go, it might crash out at 110, but you want to see the peak and get the peak to equal the amount of premium that you paid. And if you just play with the numbers as you go up, you'll get it to where the premium equals, or the cash value equals the premium, which is basically return of premium. Once they stop the policy at whatever age that is that they're looking for, it could be 15 years, 30 years, whatever, you can play with it so that they cash out right at that year, then they can take all that money and run. Okay. Now they probably wouldn't have to pay taxes if it's a return of premium. Now if they cash out more than what, meaning like they surrendered the policy and took that money, if they have more money than what they put in, then chances are they have to pay the taxes on that amount that's grown above that amount. Because remember, all that growth has been tax-free. So if you take the money and run, then you're on the hook potentially for those taxes on if it's greater. If it's equal or less, then there's no gain, so you probably wouldn't have to pay taxes on it. Now don't take my advice, because I am not a tax attorney, nor do I play one on TV. Okay, but hopefully this scenario made sense to you. If you got any questions, please give me a call. And in the next section of this video, I'm going to actually go through scenarios with the software, so I can show you how the software works and playing with all these ideas. All right, gang? So Rock on, Alex Abuyuan out. Okay, gang, Alex Abuyuan coming at you, and here's these Forrester's software. So I use Forrester's only because SmartUL, only because it's maybe a little bit easier to illustrate how the Universal Life product works based on how much money that you put into it, and watching it crash and burn or watching the cash values jam really well. So you open up the Forrester's console and you choose Universal Life, and then you click on SmartUL, and hopefully it loads. There you go. All right, so going back to that 30-year-old, so we're going to go SmartUL non-med. I guess there's a medical version, so we like non-medical. So let's say this is Joe, client. All right, and so let's go ahead and start putting the parameters in there. Age 30, we talked about being 30. Let's just say he's non-tobacco, okay? Male with the tail. Okay, so the amount of insurance is 100,000. Okay, so that's the face value for 100,000, and we're going to choose level, okay, not increasing. I'll show you what happens when you choose increase. But remember, we're just going to go level $100,000 death benefit. So the cash value that the client earns decreases the amount of insurance that the insurance company is on the hook for, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, now the premium mode is monthly. Now the premium, we're going to choose target premium, and we're going to show you what happens to a 30-year-old at target premium. In fact, it may not even be enough for it to go to age 100. But let's just put it at that. So that's what we're going to do. As far as riders, we're just going to make it a stripped-down policy. So let's just keep moving forward. And let's take a look at the premium. So the modal premium is $55.94 a month. And then the minimum monthly payment is $46.39. I'll show you what happens when you choose monthly, but a minimum. But modal premium, let's see what at $55.94, let's look at the cash value line. So right here you see the age. Starting after the first year the policy is in place, it shows how much premium he's paying per year. It shows a cumulative premium, so it adds all the premiums together. It shows the accumulated cash value. Then it has cash surrender value. So it shows that if the client surrendered the value in the first 5 years, he gets zero cash, even though the accumulated value shows he's got a $13.34 after year 5 total cash value. He can't cash it out because if he surrenders it early. But you can see as each year continues, he earns and basically vests more and more that surrender value till I think it's the 15th year. He's got, after the 15th year, he's got total access to all of his cash if he decides to cancel. So at year 16, if he decides to cancel his policy, he can cash out and get that $6,543. All right, and you can see that he paid $10,000 in premium. So if he got $65.43 back, he wouldn't have to pay taxes on it. Okay, so you can see the death benefit is $100,000. Okay, so let's keep going to where he's older. Okay, so this is a great example to show that even target premium is not enough to keep it going. This will last till he's age 86. It'll go 56 years. He's got zero cash value. Why? Because there wasn't enough cash to draw the increased premiums out. Increased premium per thousand. So notice that the cash value peaks. It goes 28,000 at age 72, 28,537 at age 73, then 28,711 at age 74, then goes back down at age 75 to 28,685, 28,421 the next year, 27,869, 26. So you can see that the cash value is now being eaten up by the cost of insurance. Remember, this 28,000 cash value, that means that if he dies here, they're going to pay 28,711 of his cash value to the beneficiary, and then whatever else the insurance company is going to make up for to make it 100,000. So of the 100,000 death benefit, 28,711 is the client's cash value. Okay, so you can see now it starts crashing quicker and quicker, so it only goes up to age 86. Okay, so what if you want to say, well, Alex, I want the client to be able to have life insurance of 100,000 all the way to age 100. So what do I do? Okay, well, what you do is you start playing with the modal premium, and let's add another $10 a month to it. So go to the premium, and instead of target, you choose specified. And then we're going to put, I think it's 50, so let's put $65 a month. And let's see what happens to $65 a month. Okay, so notice the modal premium is 65. In fact, we could have just put it right there. So let's see what happens to the cash. Ooh, see how awesome that is? For only $10 a month more, you can see that the cash value just keeps going and going and going. You know, by age 121, he's got 631,000 in cash value. And notice his death benefit is 662,742. So that's that corridor of life insurance we were talking about. So this is a well-funded policy that if he wanted at age 80, he could take money out, or age 65, he could take some money out of it. You have to leave a certain amount in it in order to keep the policy going, okay? Now notice also at age 65, 35,596 in cash, 100,000. So the insurance company's on the hook for about $65,000 roughly of life insurance. But notice 35,000 cash value, he's only paid 27,300. So is that cool or what? Now, if he cashes out at age 65, they'll pay him 35,596, but now he's on the hook for taxes on that increase that he had in this policy, because he's not paid any taxes on the gain, because the interest rate is grown tax-free. So he'd have to probably pay taxes on that difference that he paid that he got out. That's why you want to keep a life insurance policy in force, so you don't have to do that. You take out policy loans. But notice that $10 a difference makes a big difference in the cash going up. And you can see clearly here, starting at age 87, that now his cash value is above 100,000, so the insurance company's on the hook for life insurance. So you can see at 100,255, the death benefit is 105,268. So the insurance company's only on the hook for about $5,000 of life insurance. But notice at age 87, that cost of insurance per thousand is probably really high anyway. But notice if it's only for 5,000 and the cost of insurance is like 500 bucks a month per thousand, then it's not, well, maybe it's like 400, whatever. That's only for $5,000. Okay, so but you can see that it still even grows. The interest rate keeps it going, so it's still growing, and you can see that corridor difference there. So that's called the corridor of life insurance. All right. So let's go back and let's put in the minimum monthly premium, and I'll show you how low it goes. So 46.39. And I think the minimum monthly premium is the minimum that the company will take on this amount of face value at his age in order to put the policy in force. Because obviously they're not going to keep a policy in force that won't be able to run at least a certain number of years. So that's why there's a minimum monthly premium payment. So let's recalculate and show you what happens to the policy. Notice that even at the minimum, it'll at least go for 45 years. So that would be an awesome, like really kind of a term policy in essence. A 45-year term policy is what that turns out to be. For not a bad, for that age, 46.39 a month to go for 45 years. Okay. So, and you can see the cash value goes up for so much, and then it starts crashing. It peaks at about $99.50 at age 64. So 34 years, it's the max cash value. But then, as I mentioned, the cost of insurance goes up. There's not enough cash value to sustain the policy beyond age 75. Okay, so that's pretty cool. 45-year term basically is what it is. And then if he decides to cash in at year 30, he doesn't need it anymore, he's going to get 9 grand back. So it's not bad. In fact, you can work it out where it's kind of a return of premium. You could do kind of a return of premium scenario. So let's say, this client wanted to do like a return of premium scenario at age, let's say he wanted to cash out at age 65. It's been in place for 35 years, and he wants to get all his money back that he paid into it. So notice what we're going to try to do is, what do I need to put it at per month so that the cash value equals this, what he put into it. Okay, so let's just make 65 our target. So you just play with it. So let's move it up to $55 a month. See what happens. So remember, the objective is to cash out a cash value at 65. So 65, 23,000 that he paid, and it's only 21,792, right? So let's move it up a little bit. Let's add another $5. Let's make it 60. $60 a month. Recalculate, and let's see if we can get the return of premium scenario how we want it. 65. So you can see just $5 a month more, he'll get 28,000 back. If you want to go really crazy, you can bring it down to $57 a month. And let's see what happens. 57.